According to popular folklore, the Jersey Devil originated from a Pine Barrens resident named Jane Leeds, also known as Mother Leeds. The legend states that the mother had 12 children when she discovered that she was now pregnant again for the 13th time. In the madness and frustration of it all, she put a curse on the unborn child, declaring to the world that her next child would in fact be the devil reincarnated. This all happened in 1735. It was a treacherous and stormy night when Mother Leeds was in labor. Friends and family were gathered around her, and when the child came out, it appeared to be normal. And then, lightning strikes, and this child began to transform into a creature with hooves, wings, and a goat's head, the child screaming frantically, begging to be set free. Growling and screaming with its forked tail, the child began to swing around, hitting the friends and family with its tail, and scurried directly into the chimney, flying out of the house into the pines. In some stories, Mother Leeds was a witch and the father was the devil himself, but the all-around speculation and horror of this tale, though it has many versions, is haunting nonetheless.
In the heart of mystery holds the darkness of truth, true horror, real madness, drip, fed, dread.
Prior to the 1900s, the Jersey Devil was also known as the Leeds Devil. Mother Leeds has been identified by others as the real-life Deborah Leeds. But again, like many urban legends suggest, this is all passed down by word. And though a lot of times it can seem kind of far-fetched and fantastical, there's always truth behind some origin story. Welcome back to Drip Fed Dread, a story time where I, your host, Dylan, talks about true crime. In this episode, we're going to focus on a murder that was blamed on a cryptid. I have a previous short where the man blamed the legend of Bigfoot on a murder he had committed, but this case takes the cake. Cryptids are animals that cryptozoologists believe to exist, but though they are documented, they are also legends. But that doesn't stop the mass amount of people who believe. We see it on TV all the time, whether it's for entertainment value. We have Bigfoot hunters, the study of the Loch Ness Monster, the Mothman, and though most of these creatures are clearly unidentified, they carry an impact on society more than you could possibly understand. And if you're wondering why I'm talking about cryptids on a true crime episode, well, let's just say the death of Jeannette DePalma is mysterious but is sprinkled with a supernatural aspect, who was murdered around August 1972 in Springfield Township, New Jersey. Her body was discovered on a cliff known as the Devil's Teeth, located in Hudale Quarry. The coverage of her death had sensational coverage and was alleged to be tied to some occult activity. And though this case is currently unsolved, it has become a matter of severe controversy. On a summer afternoon day, 16-year-old Jeannette had left her home on Clearview Road. She told her mother that she was going to take a train to her friend's house and just spend some time with her friend. And when she didn't call home and her parents found out that she didn't arrive at her friend's house, they filed a missing persons report. 6 weeks later, her remains were found atop the Devil's Teeth. According to several witnesses on the scene, the victim's body was surrounded by a bunch of occult objects that she was placed in a coffin-shaped perimeter of fallen branches and logs, and there was many small makeshift crosses. And as stories enhance, some recall that she was laying on a pentagram itself, surrounded by mutilated animal remains. But the biggest draw to this case was the fact that she was found in an area called the Devil's Teeth. On the body, there was very little much to show. No bruises, fractures, knife stabs, bullet wounds, and no drugs in her system. The coroner chalked it up to strangulation. Weeks after the discovery of her body, local newspapers like the Newark Star-Ledger and even New York Daily Times suggested that she might have been a part of a cult sacrifice carried out by Satanists or even a local coven of witches, especially because of the area and the legend of the Jersey Devil. This created a spectacle that was very dramatic. And to this day, this is one of the most bizarre and mysterious cases that had ever happened. And it makes you wonder, not to, the subject of a young teen being murdered isn't something to pick at and, create lore around and make fascinating for our own indulgences. But if this was a cult involved, were they trying to beckon some sort of supernatural spirit of the Jersey Devil? Or was it just some crazy happenstance of some psychotic people that happen to get away with it. There's just so much into this lore that you could really pick apart, you know? But at the end of the day, a life was lost far too soon, and it is very tragic. One last possible connection that kind of ties this to more of a reality-based situation is that she was a victim tied to convicted New Jersey serial killer Richard Cottingham, also known as the Torso Killer, who murdered at least 18 women around New York and New Jersey between 1967 and 1980, so that falls within the parameters of his torture. Or you never know, she could have been murdered by a friend or anything, and that's what makes this case so terrifying. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap this episode up. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this type of content. Hit that ding-a-ling button that harasses you saying, hey, it's me, I'm here, and I'm gonna say it one time. Give me a hell yeah for horror. And be careful, because sometimes urban legends are true.